What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're looking at some news that came out today about the Detroit Lions, and I think it's all the talk right now, swirling the Detroit Lions because there's not a lot of talk going around. So we're going to be reacting to that, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, so let's get it started. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you didn't read the title, you didn't read the thumbnail, you just clicked on the video, well, I appreciate it, because that means you're a real one for that. But seriously, you probably did. You know we're talking about Richard Sherman, but you may not know what I'm talking about Richard Sherman. You feel me? Okay, stop. Okay, Richard Sherman apparently passed on the Detroit Lions back in 2018 in free agency. So Richard Sherman was a free agent back in 2018, and the Lions offered him some money. Okay, they were all in for Richard Sherman. They offered him more money, more guaranteed money, than the team that actually ended up signing him. Who was that? Well, that was the San Francisco 49ers. He's on the 49ers right now. Obviously, they're going to the Super Bowl, so I guess good for him. You know, he seemed to have made the right decision. He's going to be in the Super Bowl. But he passed on the Detroit Lions, even though we offered him more guaranteed money. So maybe this isn't big news because this happens sometimes. This happens a lot of times, actually. Maybe if it's not a lot more money, you're more familiar with someone else, and you just take that. But this is Richard Sherman. I mean, this isn't big news. You offered him a lot of money, the Detroit Lions did, to bring him in, and he decided not to go with the Lions. But he also explained why he didn't go with the Lions, and that's what makes it even more interesting. So I'm going to read some of his quotes. I'm going to give you guys some of my thoughts. So let's get into it. All right. The first quote that I have is from Richard Sherman, where he said, "That's not the kind of football I want to play," Richard Sherman said to The Athletic. Okay, he says, the way you run their scheme, I don't know why it's English. That's not English, dog. Okay, it's messed me up because that's not, stop. Your culture, you want to do it the Patriots way, and that's really not the football I want to do. Okay, and here's the thing with me here. I don't find that as a huge deal. I mean, I guess just that on its own. Let's take out everything else that we know about the Detroit Lions. If that was the only thing that I saw, and that's the only thing that we knew about in the Detroit Lions history, then I would look at that and say, okay, that's not a huge deal, because that's the case with a lot of players in a lot of different sports, you know. Specifically, so everybody has their own way they want to be coached. Some people like to be yelled at. They like to be in a specific order. Other people don't like that. That's not going to help them out. That's just going to make them not want to play. They want to be in a relaxed environment where it's chill, you know, it's a happy environment. That makes them actually thrive and learn more. Other people just like to be told what to do, and then they get that locked in. They love to be yelled at. I don't know who those people are. That's not me. I'm just saying. Some people are like that, and that's more of the Detroit Lions practice. I don't know if I would love the Patriot way. I'm just saying. I don't think Bill Belichick would be the coach for me. He would probably scare me. I'll just say it like that. Now, this is a big deal if you look on it on its own, but I will say this. Let me just point this out, that even though Richard Sherman says this isn't for him, there are some other players that we know recently that have signed with the Detroit Lions, that signed with them in big part to the defense that we do play, in the way that we do run things. Trey Flowers, Mike Daniels, both of them went to the Detroit Lions for that reason. Now, Mike Daniels won't be back, but I remember that was a big reason. You know, he wanted to get out of Green Bay. He wanted to be coached by Matt Patricia. Trey Flowers, he was familiar with Matt Patricia, so that added a lot to it, and he wanted to be in the Detroit Lions culture. So for some players it works out, some it doesn't. So I would like to keep that in mind. Let's just not act like because Richard Sherman says this, no one ever wants to play there. Because, yeah, there's apparently players that want to play there, but it's not a great thing when someone turns you down for less money. He also said this. He said, "I have fun. I like music at practice. I like to hang out and be relaxed in meetings. I don't like the stressful environment of football. The Lions. Conditions every day after practice. My body isn't built to run all day, and I'll be prepared, but I don't have to be run into the ground." And that's kind of how I would approach things. And that's kind of what I said before. You know, he's just not that kind of player. He likes to be more relaxed, likes to chill, and that helps him learn more and play better. And you know what? That's okay. Some players like that, some aren't like that. Now, like I spoke about before, some players do like that, and that's really on personal preference. Okay, now Richard Sherman was a heck of a cornerback. I believe he was rated first by Pro Football Focus in 2019 of any cornerback. So yeah, he's still really good. I mean, some people look at it like he's old, but he's still putting, you know, he's still doing his thing. And obviously the Lions, oh my gosh, we're interested even with Matt Patricia. Now, Diggs is a big reason that I think a lot of people are looking at this in a very negative way, and I think it's fair to, because Quandre Diggs, we all remember Lions trading Quandre Diggs because apparently he spoke out, I guess, in the locker room about the Lions culture, and after he left the Detroit Lions, all of a sudden he was some great player, and we lost out on a really good safety. And a lot of people were upset because, like, why would you get rid of a really talented safety? And then I guess it was a rumor that, okay, he spoke out, and that's the reason he's out of there. I don't know for sure exactly what happened. I'm not going to act like I was in their locker room and I know everything. That was the rumor that was going around, and that's what we're tended to believe today, that that's the reason that he's no longer with the Lions, because he spoke out about the Detroit Lions. So, you know, for certain players, they don't like it. They don't like the Patriot way. They don't like the way they're running things. They think it's, you know, I guess at least in Quandre Diggs' mind, it's closed off. You know, it's not open-minded. It's ran in Richard Sherman's mind like like you're just getting yelled at. It's not a relaxed environment. It's not a chill environment. So, personal preference there once again. But Diggs speaking out about this, and apparently that might be the reason why he was traded, makes this even bigger news. Then we know Rob Gronkowski, who I think people are pointing out in this situation, but I don't think he should be necessarily. Gronk, remember, he threatened to retire after he was traded away, if he could be traded away from the Pats. We're like, oh, we'll trade for him. But he's like, don't put me to Detroit. I'll retire. And that's why I don't really like Gronk anymore to this time, because I'm like, really, you're going to retire just for getting traded? That's kind of messed up. But he retired anyways. I mean, he's already retired. So I guess he was just going to, he says that, but he retired anyway. So it doesn't really mean anything to me. Now, we know Kyle Shanahan has turned the 49ers completely around. And this quote to me right here, and this reasoning behind Richard Sherman things, makes it not a huge deal for me, but it's also, this can be a huge deal, but it's something that I understand more. He says, the culture and the way he did things was very similar to the way we did things in Seattle and what I was accustomed to, Sherman said. That right there specifically, when he's talking about Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, is pretty much the giveaway of why he decided San Francisco. Okay, let's be honest. It's nicer and it's warmer in San Francisco. So if you like the warm weather, you're trying to get out of Seattle, then boom, that makes more sense, right? Also, if he likes the culture because it's similar to Seattle's, that makes more sense, right? If he likes the play style, that makes more. He obviously thrived in that environment. So he went to an environment. He chose the right environment because he was a top-rated cornerback in Pro Football Focus. Maybe that's not the case with Detroit. Does that necessarily mean Detroit's terrible and they're doing everything wrong? No, they're not doing it right for Richard Sherman's eyes. But for some other players like Trey Flowers and Mike Daniels, they did enjoy it and they wanted to come to Detroit for a certain reason. Now, I'm not going to act like what the Detroit Lions are doing is good. I'm not going to come out here and say that the Lions are doing a good thing by coaching it the way they're coaching it. Personally, if I was Richard Sherman, I would have took San Francisco as well if it's a more relaxed and chill environment. I wouldn't want to go play for the Lions if it's super stressful like that. That's just me, but other people in the comments may be like, hey, man, I kind of like that thing where I'm just told what to do and I put in line and I do what they say. Some people like that. They don't like the relaxed environment. They think that's just slacking off. Some people like that thing. For Richard Sherman, he didn't like that. So I can understand why he decided not to choose Detroit. He says that makes a huge difference right there. He said, hey, I can get this $20 million guaranteed and be in Detroit and lose football games. Now, this is the part right here. I'm going to highlight it. Well, you guys can't see it anyways, but this is, to me, the biggest part. I could be in Detroit and lose football games. That, to me, is where everybody gets upset. And I kind of understand why we're getting upset over this. If you think about it, he's talking about losing football games. San Francisco, when he went there, was not a good team. Now, the year before, they went on like a 5-game winning streak, but they were still awful that year. Let's not act like they were good. They were like 4-12, 6-10. They weren't a good team, and he's saying go to Detroit and lose football games. Okay, but he didn't know that at that time. So I feel like this is one of those things where now he's looking at it and saying, well, dang, I made the right decision because they're terrible and we're in the Super Bowl. So I could have went Detroit and lose football games. This is more of a 2020 type of vision thing that he's looking like in hindsight, or he's just a genius and he's looked at this and he said, you know what? I think the Niners are going to be a good team. Detroit's not. I'm choosing this one. We really don't know what that is, but I guess that's the part where you can be a little bit upset. Then he says, or I can go to a place where I'm very comfortable with the scheme, right? He's comfortable with the scheme. He likes to coach and he likes the culture and he's comfortable with the way they do things and he really believes they can win. And that's what it's all about. If you're with the right coaching and you're with the right culture and you like the way that things are run and you like everybody there, you're going to be more successful than being in a place that is going to give you more money even though you don't want to be there. Like people always say, don't do a job that you don't want to do just for the money because you're never going to love it, right? Do something that you like and then you'll make money doing that. So that's kind of the situation here, I think, with Richard Sherman. So yes, it's bad that he didn't want to go to Detroit, but I'm not going to overreact and say that it's so awful. And I know some people will probably be like, oh, you should be overreacting. It is what it is. I understand. That's the case with a lot of things. That's why you offer an amount. Just because you offer the most doesn't guarantee you're going to get them. Now, I do think the Lions don't get as many free agents. I don't have a stat to back that up, but maybe they don't get as many big-name free agents because of where they're running things. Again, I'm not coming in here and saying that the Lions are running it the right way. Personally, I don't think I'd want to be coached by the Lions. I will say that again. But for certain players, they do like it. It looks like Mike Daniels wanted to be there. It looks like Trey Flowers wanted to be there because he already knew Patricia. And in this case, for Sherman, he just didn't want to be there. So those are my thoughts. Let me hear your thoughts. Do you think it's a bigger deal than that? Let me know. Thank you, Pat, for watching, and I'm out.